If you think about paradise, it's quite likely that a place like this will come to mind.
Unless you're a beach person, of course, but the beach is just right over there.
But what you see on this side though is 70 hectares of nature in the Dominican Republic, and more importantly it is home to a naturist community where people live and work year-round without clothes.
Welcome to New Cambium! We are Nick and Linz. For the last 5 years we have been traveling to some of the most amazing naturist places on the planet. And now we embarked on an epic journey to experience naturism in every continent of the world. Subscribe and travel along with us. Right now we are in the Dominican Republic.
The story of New Cambium is one of big dreams and ideologies, but also one of misfortune, of perseverance and of the power of community. But to completely understand the rise, the fall and the rebirth of this mythical place, I will have to take you back in time. This is Francois Harley, who suffered from a severe skin disease and found out that naturism provided a solution to that. And this gave him an idea.
If that could have such a good impact on me, it might be possible to create an environment where it could have equally beneficial effects on everybody else.
Long story short, he started designing Cambium, his own naturist resort following his own vision.
Cambium is a place where you can live, work and holiday naked all year round.
It was a big dream and a big project that also got the attention of Stéphane Deschênes from the Naturist Living Show podcast, who invited somebody from the Cambium management team to explain the plans.
And how big, Glenn, is this going to get? What's the long-term vision?
The long-term vision is you will probably have about 140 properties of plots which people have built their own properties on. You're probably going to have about 36 of the casitas. You are then going to have the hotel complex. We'll have within the Cambium environment our own little parade of shops where people will be able to look after their everyday essentials that they need.
But along the way, something must have gone wrong.
Here is Palm Gardens, and this is the area where the hotel, the bars, the shops, the swimming pool was supposed to be. Okay, yes, there is a bar, but it looks a little bit abandoned and it's closed. And okay, yes, the swimming pool is here as well, and the swimming pool looks good. But besides that, there are just a couple of houses and that's it.
We don't have a lot of details about how the project went wrong, but probably it was something financial. Maybe the sales of the land didn't go as fast as they expected, and maybe there just wasn't enough money left to complete the touristic center. This is just a wild guess though, because it sounds so obvious. Selling property in a foreign country is already a niche. Selling property in a foreign country on a naturist domain that is just getting started is like a niche in a niche in a niche. And you have to realize that we're talking about 2012 here. That's more than a decade ago. Social media was just getting started and online marketing was just a fraction of what it is today. And I imagine that there must have been quite some people around the world who would be very interested in buying property in a place like this, but that they were just very difficult to reach.
Why the project failed isn't all that important. It just did. The property was put up for sale, and this was the end of the short life of Cambium. At least, that's what most people expected. But a couple of residents didn't lose their trust in the project. They put their heads and their money together and bought the property. Cambium may have died, but New Cambium was born. The new owners decided to take a different approach. No big hotel with restaurants and bars and shops, but back to the original idea. A naturist community where people can live and work naked year-round in a very natural environment. The plans went back on the drawing board and the number of plots was reduced from 140 to just 40. Within a couple of years, they managed to reach financial stability.
When there is a will, there's always a way. And we are often being told to dream big and to reach for the stars, but this place is the living proof that sometimes the best idea is to just go back to the basics. It's interesting that in most other places of the world it goes the other way around. And this spot is a little bit unnaturist. There is this loop that goes to a trail, but it's with barbed wire, so I have to be really careful. In many naturist places around the world, it went the other way around. They start from a small club and then eventually turn into a commercial resort. And the big risk over there is that the smell of money can sometimes be stronger than the naturist values. And probably the best example of this is Cap d'Agde in France. And this is a risk that's much less when you go back to basics.
And they took the basics, well, rather the naturist values quite literally here, because the community is mostly self-sustainable. All the houses here are solar powered, which is not that difficult here if you live in a climate like this where the weather is always great.
For the water supply, New Cambium works together with a charity called Water at Work Ministry. And what they do is they bring water from the surrounding mountains into the domain, but they also take it into the village, so the people over there also have fresh water. Maybe you've noticed that parts of the domain are large grass fields, like where I am right now. This is all farmland, and this is not owned by the residents, but it's rented out to local farmers who can put cattle on it. And that's an interesting collaboration because the cattle has a place to graze and they maintain the property so it doesn't turn back into a jungle. And an additional advantage is that the residents here can get very fresh milk and of course that they support the local community. He thinks I'm family.
And the soil is so fertile here. I think you can literally just grow everything here. And the area where we are staying is called Mango. And it's not a surprise why.
When people think about self-sustainable or off-the-grid living, they often relate it to hippies or to tree huggers who bathe in rivers and sleep on the floor of a hut or who pick up food from the ground.
I just can't leave them here. Look at them, they look so delicious. But does that make me a hippie now?
Other than a certain someone who likes to pick up free mangoes from the ground, we also saw one hut, but all the other houses are pretty fancy.
We do have an actual bed and a shower. And we even have our own private swimming pool.
Throughout this whole video we've been talking about a place where people live and work naked year-round. So an interesting question right now is, could we live and work naked here?
But honestly, the idea of living completely off the grid into nature has crossed our mind a couple of times in the last years that we've been traveling around the world. And from the moment that we arrived here and we saw the view from our balcony, we thought that this is a pretty good place to do that. We don't know anything about farming, but we can work online. The thing is, there is no cable internet here, but the mobile data is pretty good. So I think we can get almost all the work done from here.
And in fact, the very place where we are staying right now is up for sale. If it looks like I just had a swim, I totally did. It's very, very hot here. And no matter how much we enjoy this climate and these beautiful views, the travel bug just doesn't want to leave us alone yet. And I also think that probably I would miss a bar here. So maybe one day we will regret that we didn't buy this house and settle down. Maybe we will realize that today all the stars were aligned and we just didn't want to see it. That is something that we will worry about later. And when the outside world gets a little bit too much, we can always come on a vacation here. Some people do live here year-round, but other places are just holiday homes, like this one, for example, that you can just rent. If you're a loyal follower of this channel, you might be wondering what happened to Lynn's famous room tour.
What happened?
Well, we tried a different approach this time. We created a separate video on a new channel with the room tour or the house tour and a lot more information about the resort and the surroundings. So if everything goes well, it should pop up right here or here somewhere. It should pop up somewhere. And with that being said, it's time for us to pack up and move on to our next destination. But that's for our next video. So if you don't want to miss that,
Make sure to subscribe to this channel, and if you enjoy watching this video, please hit the like button. That would be awesome. And also, if you want to see the inside and the outside of naturist resorts all over the world, go over to our other channel because new stuff is coming up soon. So we just see you next week then.
bye bye.